What's up, everybody? K3 here. It's been a very long time since I have done anything for YouTube because I've been on Twitch now. I will have those details in the description if you're interested in still watching the live streams on Twitch. We're streaming there every day. But I figured I'd do a video today. I've been getting a question lately about my top RPGs, and I really thought about it, and I've probably narrowed it down to 20 of my top RPGs. We're going to go through them a little bit in depth to a degree. The ones lower on the list will have a little less detail. We'll go and so on. I'll discuss my reasons for them being on the list. Now, this is my list. This isn't everyone's list. There are some games that aren't on here that some people will be surprised about. But I generally like to think outside the box and usually try different games. I had an older brother growing up, so he'd get the more popular games, and sometimes I would delve into the unknown. Sometimes you find a gem. So I'm going to go through these games, and these are going to be all offline RPGs, so nothing like Borderlands 2 or Diablo or stuff along those lines will make this list. So our first game, coming in at number 20, is Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Now you might say, hey, Mortal Kombat, that's a fighting game. Well, in the PS2 era, they came out with a game called Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, and you get to play as either Liu Kang or Kung Lao, and then eventually you would get to unlock characters like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, I heard you could play as Reptile, and so on. And there might be some spoilers in this, guys, just a heads up. So if you don't want spoilers on these games, I understand. Just go ahead and skip ahead or go to a different game that you already have beaten, I'd say. But going back to Mortal Kombat, what made it interesting is I had been saying for a long time I thought they could have always done a Mortal Kombat RPG. I've even said they could have delved into an MMO of a Mortal Kombat game. And then we get Shaolin Monks. And it's a co-op game, which is great. So I have memories playing this with one of my best buddies. We would go through often. We'd play through with the first two characters, and once you beat it, you unlock other characters. We go through it again. And it is just as simple as it sounds. It's a beat-em-up Final Fight style game where you get experience that you can use to unlock other abilities. You get fatalities you can use, and it's just a fun beat-em-up, simple RPG. It's not extraordinary, but I figured it makes the list because every time I come back to it, I leave with a smile because I can't believe there's a Mortal Kombat game that's an RPG. That just it was done pretty well. Like there are fatality traps, and like it's a beat-em-up, so you can knock people up into spikes and kill them. You can fatality them, you can brutality them. It has everything you'd want. I will say the voice acting is horrible. Story's good. It kind of plays through like the end of Mortal Kombat 1 and a retelling of Mortal Kombat 2. That's the timeline you're going to be in. So you're going through like pretty much you just beat Shang Tsung in the first tournament. Now he's pulling all these ploys to defeat you and break the rules, and you'll eventually end up fighting Shao Kahn. That's the general rule. There's secrets, there's puzzles, there's a little bit of clever thinking. It's not just your standard beat 'em up where you're going in and beating the crap out of enemies. You actually have to think a little bit, know which moves you want to use. Controls are pretty good. Camera angles are a little bit janky, but that was a PS2 era thing, I think, in my opinion. But overall, I enjoyed the game, so I thought it deserved a spot on the list. Moving in at number 19. This game is a Super Nintendo hidden gem, in my opinion, called Secret of the Stars. Tecmo Secret of the Stars, because it was a Tecmo RPG, which is very rare. They were known for sports games, mainly. And this is a game that, again, I wouldn't say is extraordinary, but it earned a spot on my list for a number of reasons. Number one, it was one of those games I'd go to the video store when I was very young, and I would pick it up, and I would play it, and play it, and play it, return it. You'd expect to you go back next week to get it again, and you find your save file was overwritten by some guy at the video store for no reason. Even though there's other save files, they would save over it, so you play it again. And Tecmo Secret of the Stars is a turn-based RPG, and it's as simple as they come. It's you have 5 party members eventually in the game, and it's pretty much an organization of good is trying to stop a guy by the name of Homecruels from destroying the world. And it has a standard turn-based battle system. You have your items, you have your spells. I'm pretty sure there's stuff similar to Chrono Trigger, where it's like dual text, like if certain people cast spells, it will make it a different spell. I mean, I've played this game a long time ago. It's one I plan to replay again. And it just, after a while, when you play all those top tier RPGs, as we call them, like Chrono Triggers and stuff like that, and Secret of Manas, You look for other games. You find this one. You're actually kind of happy that there's other games out there that can do a good job. Battle system was average. I mean, we're talking music was okay. There was a couple good tracks. Story was kind of but it all at least blended well together, and they put a good attempt on it. And I always had fun playing it. Characters aren't really memorable that much. I mean, the one good thing about the game I will say is you have your main party of 5, but then there is another party you could switch to at any time that has, I think, up to 8 or 9 or possibly 10 party members that you could swap in and out. So you have an option to run 2 different groups, and some groups can go into certain zones that others can't, so you have that aspect. You're also kind of building a town on the way. As you start progressing through the game, you have a town that's building up, and you hire a builder, and he'll make a village for you. It's kind of a neat little premise. As I said, it's not a game I put highly on the list. I have it at 19, but I would say check it out if you haven't. If you're an RPG fan, you would definitely like it. It's a good JRPG. It has airships, as every JRPG does, so I'd say check it out. Excuse me. Coming in at number 18, Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Now, if I'm honest, I wasn't crazy about this game at first. I got pulled into the hype, and I get it. I get where the whole open world exploration is, and some people have, like, they treat this game as a holy relic, I swear. Like, you talk to some people, they put it super high, but for me, it opened new avenues. It went where a lot of games didn't. It started to it made open world very popular, I'd say. It gave you the option to go multiple places, multiple side quests, but I always felt when I played this game, it was nice to have all the customization, but I always felt like after a while, I do like I don't know, 5 or 10 side quests a day, I'd start to get bored because it just got tiring, you know. It's like you start to catch on that you're just grinding over and over and over, and I don't think they did a good job to make it not feel like grinding, you know. They're just sending you from place to place to kill so and so like so many times. And that aside, I will say the game plays well. It looked well for its time. I did have fun playing it. It opened up a new genre of games, in my opinion. You're seeing a lot of stuff like Breath of the Wild and stuff come along, and it was good for gaming overall. That's why it makes my list. I think there was a lot of good that's come out of it, and I think we will continue to see a lot of open world games experimenting. And we will see many that fail and many that succeed, and we can thank it to Skyrim. So I would say we'll leave it at that at number 18 on my list. Coming in at number 17, there are 2 of them on Steam, Legend of Grimrock, and there's Legend of Grimrock 1 and 2. I have not had the privilege to play 2. I have it, I just haven't had the time, so I put number 1 on the list. And my buddy showed me this game, and right away from the main menu, the music's awesome. You go into making characters. If you ever played Eye of the Beholder on the Super Nintendo, it is exactly like that. You make your 4 characters, you give them the stats. They start with very simple equipment, and as you go, you're finding spells, you're finding items, you're equipping these guys. You have to find food to survive. And it is a difficult game. It is a grid-based game. So it's first person, but you move square by square. So when you come in encounters, you're trying to match up by lining up with a target. Take a quick strike and then move a square over. So your whole party moves as one unit. And it is literally a game where you are thrown into a dungeon, and you're told if you can escape, they will let you live. That's as simple as that. It's a simple story. You go in. But as you start going through, you learn it's not that simple. You start seeing remains of people who were thrown in here who didn't survive. You have a voice that's talking to you, trying to help you get out of that. You have no idea what it is. You're finding all kinds of monsters, traps, there's puzzles. I remember when this game came out, I beat it pretty quick, and I was actually helping with a lot of FAQs back in the day on some of the puzzles. Some of them are tricky, like they are tricky puzzles, but I will say I enjoyed them overall. You know, it brought a lot of good memories. I felt accomplished when I beat the game. Music was dark and eerie. It felt like a good dungeon game. I always felt good when I found a secret or you found a new piece of armor. And when you beat that game, all I will say is the last fight is hectic as hell. And when you beat it, you're on your toes the whole time. When it finally happens, it's just satisfying. I know it's only number 17 on my list, but it's just there are other games that were higher up there. This is a newer game in my book. I was saying newer, but it's like 2011, I think. And definitely some great memories with it. I tried playing through it again, and I had a hard time because I'm strapped for time nowadays. But I would say check it out if you're into hardcore dungeon crawlers that make you solve puzzles and have hard encounters. You're always feeling challenged. That's the game for you. Coming in at number 16, Illusion of Gaia on the Super Nintendo. Now, the best way to describe this, it's similar to a Zelda game, but it just didn't get the recognition. I remember getting this game back in the day, and it came with a really large shirt. Like, it didn't fit me until I was like an adult. Of Illusion of Gaia, it was a really beautiful shirt. I don't have it anymore. It ripped when I was a kid because I used to always wear it, even though it was overgrown. And Illusion of Gaia, this is a Zelda-esque game. You're swinging, and he has slight combos, and there's actually multiple games in the series. There's Soul Blazer and Terra Enigma. I haven't played Terra Enigma. I played Soul Blazer. It's the same premise, but these are fun games. In Illusion of Gaia, you're playing under the guise of a character named Will. He's a young boy. He has a bunch of friends, and he gets along with him. You'll interact with these friends throughout the journey. They're very close to him. They kind of follow him on his journey. And it more or less becomes... You find out this boy has psychic powers, so he's able to, like... He has like a little flute. He's able to like pull enemies to him and stuff like that. He can move certain blocks, and you're pretty much following this kid's will. His father got lost years ago. They don't know what happened to him, and his mother is no more. But he tends to hear their voices, if I remember, from time to time through a flute. And he gets dragged into a journey, starting with the princess of a castle running away, and he gets dragged in. As they look for an heirloom from his family, and gets arrested, and then he breaks out of prison, leaves with the princess, and he starts going on a journey not only to... I always saw it as a journey to find his father. That's what I felt he was really trying to do. But he ends up battling evil, and on his journey you'll learn new moves. You'll learn like how to dash, how to like do power hits, how to slide, and he also gets these cool little things, these statues, where he can become this knight known as Friedan, and this knight known as Shadow, and he can do these temporarily. Like, he'll go there and he'll get to do it for a zone. And I always thought it was cool. Like, you get to become these two different characters with amazing powers. Like, Friedan has a long range and a sword, and he shoots fireballs, and Shadow can like slip under people and dodge, and he has like a ranged attack. He's a really cool character. And what always I liked about the game is they reward you for killing everything on the screen. If you kill everything on the screen, not only will it not respawn, you will get a permanent buff, whether that's HP, attack, or damage. So I always thought they did a good job presenting the game. It looked good. Story was actually really good. It was quite dark. Like, it's surprising. For an RPG, it's quite a dark game. Like, when I played through it just last year again, it was dark. Difficulty's pretty good. You'll find yourself struggling at moments. You'll find yourself taking it easy, trying to figure out what to do in the fights. It's not a cakewalk, I'll tell you that much. But I think you will enjoy the game overall. It brings back good memories whenever I think about it. It's always one of those when I go to play it again, I find a hard time getting into it because I'm just not sure. And then as soon as I start playing it, snap! It's clicked. I'm hooked, and I just want to beat the game. Coming in at 15, I usually wouldn't put a game that's still in early access / alpha on this list, but we're gonna go into one that came out on Steam. I found out about this game by accident 2 days before it came out on someone's like Let's Play list. He was talking about upcoming games, and Tower of Time. It's a game on Steam. I only got to play Book 1. There's Book 2 now, which we will be streaming very soon on Twitch within the next, I don't know, probably a month at least. And Tower of Time is an interesting RPG. To give you the premise of the story, you're playing a character, this boy. He's living in the world where the world is slowly dying. Vegetation's dying. People are getting sick. Just everything's depleting, and people are dying. And this boy one day, while hunting, he's a hunter of the village. He's skilled. Finds a tower that's like buried upside down. Against his village rules, which he's not supposed to interact with anything like that, he decides to go in, and he finds that the tower talks to him. Like, the tower is talking to him, and he sees all these things. He sees like trees that are growing these beautiful fruits, gardens, water, fresh water, and it's amazing to him. But he gets spooked by the talking of the tower, so he decides to leave. He leaves. ends up serving a king, gains favor, and then like the king offers him a request, and he says, "Hey, I want to go check out this tower that I saw when I was a boy. I think it's a way to save our worlds because our worlds are still dying." King grants him some soldiers, and he goes back into the tower. And you find out when he sits on this throne in the tower, he's able to communicate with the whole tower. So he sends in 2 troops with him. I forget their names, but sends in 2 troops, and you are literally going floor by floor in this tower, and you are just unveiling a mystery. It is beautiful storytelling, beautiful graphics, music is fantastic, voice acting is up there, some of the best, and it's just well done storytelling. And you'll get equipment for each character. You'll eventually have 4 party members. You'll level them up. You'll unlock skills. But it's a tactical strategy RPG. So like when you go into combat, you'll have a percentage at the top. And as you kill enemies, the percentage will fill until it hits 100. And when you hit 100%, you win the fight. Now, it could be 1 enemy if it's a boss. It could be hundreds of enemies. It just depends on the fight. But how it works is you'll give each character a command, and they will go in active time fill out that command. And there's different difficulties, so strategy will matter depending on the difficulty. If you're starting to struggle, you can hit the space bar, I believe, and it will slow time, making time way slower, giving you a lot more time to react. You can do as much as you want. You could also turn that feature off if you don't want it. You can switch the difficulty on the go. If you're having too much time, you can lower it, you can bring it back up. They did that for purposes of just difficulty. But I played the alpha. I actually have the devs in my stream watching me play, so they went off a lot of my feedback for changes. I'm planning to hit it again, start over, do book 2, check out all the changes. It looks like they're doing a lot. I'd highly recommend it. It was like $12.49 on Steam, but I know they're doing a price raise, so I'd say just be prepared. Now, if we're talking number 14 on the list, I can actually show you. This is a PS2 game known as Champions of Norath. There's Champions of Norath right here. There we go. And then we got Champions Return to Arms. Now we're going to be putting this one on the list over this one. While they're both fantastic games, Champion Return to Arms, the second one, is a way better game. And what they are is they are Snowblind games. They're made by Snowblind Studio. They did Baldur's Gate, I believe, as well. And they are generic RPG. You're pretty much going through, killing stuff, picking up loot. It's like a Diablo for console. That's the best way to put it. And the reason this made my list is, well, the story is just generic. The second game just opened it up so much more, added more classes. It has a story where you can choose to go good or evil, so it has replayability. It's a multiplayer game. I remember getting a multi-tap even in the PS3 era. Like for the PS2, we'd bring it up, play with 4 buds, we'd have a blast, we'd play all night. And it was just a good time, you know. There's so much replayability, there's different skills, there's different classes. Nothing like spamming the square button with your friends to pick up loot, compete for loot. It just always felt good when you got equipment, you know. It's just like one of those games you always enjoyed, you didn't realize how long you were playing it, and you always went back. Like, once a year we'd go back, my friend was like, "Hey, can you bring Champions? I got 2 buddies coming over." I'm like, "Yeah, I can bring Champions." "Hey, can you bring Champions?" That was always the thing. So, I would say it's not a very known RPG, but I'd say check it out for sure. If you guys like just Diablo-esque kind of games, it is right up there. It had like PS2 online back in the day. I know I said no online games, but I don't count that because no one's on the PS2 network anymore playing online. I hope not. I hope not. So that's number 14. Coming in at 13, Final Fantasy VI. Now, I have this version. Everyone says the Super Nintendo, which is Final Fantasy III, is better. But I have this version. It's the 5-6 split. You get it on the PS1. It gives you Final Fantasy 5 and 6 together. What I have to say about that game is I had played Final Fantasy 6 on and off. Never beat it, never got far, but I always liked it. It had good music, good combat, but for whatever reason I could never finish it. And then one of my mods, Bruce, if you guys remember him, asked me to play it. And I went through, and with his help, I went through the game, and I really like it. It was always my favorite Final Fantasy, even though I beat other Final Fantasies. I always liked 6. There was something about it, I just could never get myself to beat it. So, sat down, went through it, and I gotta say, you have a great cast of characters. I like that they force you to use all your characters. Like, they will split you into groups, and you have to have different characters. You have to worry about balancing. The difficulty was hard. The way you gained spells and magic points was great. Grinding was never monotonous. I always felt there was another purpose other than experience to grind. I was getting experience and maybe magic points and farming for an item. So I always felt there was multiple purposes to grind. Story was great. There wasn't necessarily a straight order I had to go. I could skip certain people. I could just get Sabin and go here and just forget about the rest. Or you could just spend the time getting everyone back together for the final fight. There's points where you can save Shadow or let them die. It's just there's a lot. The equipment was strong. I always felt smart when I made a decision. Like if it went well, it felt like I came up with something cool. Music's great. I mean, Terra's overworld theme is one that comes right to mind. I love it. I always just felt I was ashamed I honestly hadn't played the game, and that's the only reason it's making 13. It probably would have been higher, much higher on the list if I had that nostalgia like some people do. Because I can say from what I've seen and played, 6 is probably the best Final Fantasy out there. I know some people are going to argue 9. I've heard 9 argued. 7 I've heard, but 7 is more a nostalgia thing. But I've heard 6 and 9 often argued, and there are valid points for both, I guess. But 6 is the one that will make my list. Coming in at number 12, and the current soundtrack actually playing, Ys 1 and 2. And now some of you guys are going to say, why is he picking 2 games? Ys 1 and 2 is more or less one game. And to explain it, my earliest ties with Ys 1 was on a system called the Turbo Duo that many people don't even know about. It was a CD-based system attachment to a cue card system from the 90s. And it was expensive. Not a lot of people knew about it. We had one. And Ys 1 and 2 tells the story of Adol Christian. He's a knight. He hears stories that overseas in a land known as Asteria there are monsters attacking, and he just has this pull that he has to do something about it. So he goes and sails through a storm vortex that people hadn't sailed for, and he makes it. He survives and makes it to the island. He starts getting involved with the locals and starts finding out about a land known as East that was once part of Asteria, and he's more or less on a mission to collect these books of East and then enter something known as the Tower of Darn, which is like a 25-floor tower. It's really awesome. It's like a short game. I'd say you could beat it in probably 2, 3, 4 hours if you're good. And they made so many remakes. I'm telling you, like there's the old versions, and now on Steam there's Chronicles 1 and 2, which is a remake. It's a difficult game. Like final boss in the first game on the hardest difficulty took me like 170 tries, and I felt lucky when I beat it. But it's always been a game that's like kind of tugged at my heart. Soundtrack, top 5 of all time. If I'm being honest, top 5. It's great. Always find myself coming back to it. Played all the time, playing it now. Fit well for this video. But the soundtrack is just amazing. Ys is now just getting more popular in America. They made the 6th game, which kind of brought popularity, and then 7 came out on the PSP, and now 8 came out on the PSP, and I heard it's coming out on the Switch, which is a big deal because that means there's people that want it now. So I'd say definitely check out the whole series if you can. There's Ys 1 through 8, and there's also Ys Origins, and there's multiple versions. So get your hands on them. They're great. Combat system in the first game is a little bit different. It's not about swinging your sword. You're going in on an angle and hitting the enemy, right? That's what you're doing. You go on an angle and you're trying to hit them on an angle, and that's how you kill enemies. In the second game, you start opening up and learning magic. And the reason I said they're linked is the first game is like 2.5 hours, and the second game takes off directly after Ys 1. It's a direct sequel, and they were always put on the same CD. Like it's Ys 1 and 2 on the TurboGrafx. It's Ys 1 and 2 Eternal. It's Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles sold together on Steam. That's just how it is. So they're one game. Second game, much easier than the first, but it's still good. Still a good story. You still follow the Chronicles of 8 all through all 8 games, but that's where I'll leave that. Definitely check it out. I'd say it's great. Number 11. Now there's 2 of these games on Steam. I'd say get them both, but we're going to talk about Evil Land 2. So there's Evil Land 1 and Evil Land 2. And if you've never played this game, oh my god, it is nostalgia heaven. Like, it will take you back through your favorite games. So generally how the Evil Land series works is it will start you in like 8-bit, and then as you progress you'll eventually go 16-bit. That's the music will go 16-bit, the colors, the graphics. You'll eventually go like 64-bit, 3D. You'll go through the whole process, HD, and it will change game modes. Like, the first game was a good introduction to it. It was short. The second game took it to another level. Like, it was much longer. They dropped nostalgia references to Dragon Ball, which were great. That took me a second to figure out. I was like, damn, that's cool. Pokemon. You do like a Street Fighter fight. You do like, I don't know what to call them. Like, I guess a Gradius clone. You do like a Gradius clone where you're shooting through levels. Chrono Trigger is in there that referenced. Zeldas are referenced in these games. Diablo. You just go through so many different kind of game modes, and there's a great story with it too. Like, you find yourself always in a great story emerged. You have these cool party members with great in-depth stories. There's time travel. It's just so well because you find yourself going to time in different worlds to do different things, and it's so well written, and the music is just so on point, and the gameplay is so on point. Like, controls were great. It always felt like when I was playing the Street Fighter portion, they didn't give you a sloppy portion of like fighting. It was like real good fighting controls. When you did the Gradius portion, it was like real good Gradius controls. When you did Zelda, it was good Zelda controls. Chrono Trigger had the dual text. It was just amazing. And the amount of Dragon Ball references. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. If people don't know, that's like one of my favorite shows of all time. It just did it for me. I'd say check out the first one. It's a short game, and then the second one's much longer. But I'd play them both, and you will be amazed. They're definitely hidden gems. Coming in at number 10, I'm going to tell you guys right now, Chrono Trigger's not on the list, and some of you might say a lot, but I didn't have that attachment growing up. That was a game my brother played more. I watched him play it, and I played it, and I respect the game, and it's good. But after playing Chrono Cross last year and actually going through and beating it, that game does not get enough credit. I'm telling you, it doesn't. Not only does it have a cool battle system, where it's stamina based, and as long as other party members attack, you gain stamina back, and you get to choose between weak, medium, and heavy attacks. The spell system is amazing. Like, you get spell slots, kind of like if I were to put it in like Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, you get spell slots, and let's say you get like a level 5 spell like Earthquake, you could choose to put it in a level 6 slot, and then it becomes like meta magic feats in D&D. That's the best way to describe it. It's just so open. Like, there's just so much you can do. There's elements. It's knowing where to put the spell slots so they're more powerful. You get master techs. And then there's like 40 plus characters. I'm not even kidding. Like, I was so overwhelmed. Like, I had a friend help me through it, so I didn't miss many of the characters, but there's so many characters. And the time traveling's great. The references to Chrono Trigger are actually pretty good. I didn't see what some people saw that they were horrible. It's just music too. The music is just it's number 2 on my soundtrack, best soundtrack of all time. Only Donkey Kong Country 2 probably hits above that. But like, the music's great, battle system's great, equipment guide's great, the use of all the characters, the traveling of time's well done. Surge is a really interesting character. I really loved Kid. Like, if you guys know what I'm talking about, Kid is amazing. I know some people didn't like her, but I really liked her story, her involvement. And it's just like you find this involvement with all these characters, and like hints of other characters are revealed from Chrono Trigger. Like, you'll see Glenn, but he's not really Frog, but he's pretty much Frog in human form. I don't know, it just feels like that. And has a new game plus. I'm definitely gonna go back and play that again at some point. I had a blast streaming it, so that's why I made my top 10. But definitely check it out, or if not, at least check the soundtrack. Soundtrack's great. I always play it. Coming in at number 9, guys. We're about halfway done now. Ys 4. So we mentioned Ys 1 and 2 at number 12. Ys 4 is an interesting game. There's multiple copies, and I heard now that they're even scrapping those copies and making a whole new lore for it. So there were 2 Ys 4s back in the day. There's Dawn of Ys, which was on the PC Engine, which is the Turbo Graphics, or Turbo Dual that I mentioned before. And that has its own story, and there's Ys 4 Mask of the Sun on the Super Nintendo. Completely different. They are different games. Now, some like Dawn, some like Mask. I tend to like Mask. That's the one I played first, so it kind of held a place in my heart. It was a short game, plays similar. You're still running into enemies, but what I always liked about it is I thought the story was pretty good. I never minded it. It was quick, short, and to the point. I thought the music was epic still. Can't go wrong with music, but I always liked the equipment. I felt like in the first Ys game, you had 5. You had 5 equipments. You had like your short, medium, long sword, silver sword, and then you had like a battle sword used for a little bit. This one, had like so many kinds of swords and swords with magic that would shoot magic at enemies. I think some people tend to like the other East 4 because you go back into Darm Tower, which is the 25 floor tower, but in East 4 Mask of the Sun you do revisit old lands. It's kind of weird too because it goes East 1, 2, and then 4 would be the next one in order, and then 3. That's generally the order of how East is looked at, but it's a well done game. Boss fight's hard, takes a little bit of strategy, don't have to grind too much. Short and sweet game, but it always holds a place in my heart. I played it a lot as a kid. I had to play it in an emulator though because it's a Japanese game. There really wasn't an English release. There's just translations. But definitely check it out. I'd say it's worth a play, if not a couple. Coming in at number 8 is another game that my dad actually bought me when I was a kid, which I was surprised. He didn't like to buy the expensive games, but he got me Earthbound. And if you've never played Earthbound, it's, oh my god, it's just so different. It's a modern RPG that back then that wasn't really a thing. There was like your Breath of Fires and stuff like that, but and your Chrono Triggers, these all were like medieval based. And then you just have Earthbound. It's like we're gonna do a modern RPG, and just the charm. Like all 4 characters are great. You have Ness, very lovable, psychic character, party lead, just a badass, just beating shit with a baseball. You have Paul, the psychic girlfriend. You have Jeff, the inventor, who's just building you rockets and bazookas. You have Pooh, which just this amazing ninja-like character that sacrifices his body to become the ultimate warrior. And just not only is the story good, but it references so many things that were problems in the 90s. Police brutality wasn't there. The troubles of going into a supermarket were there. Your burger joints around the corner, hotels, digging into a trash can and grabbing a burger, Ness taking it. And wait, what the hell? 1 second, guys. Oh, that was like a short version of that song. I don't know why I did that. Here we go. We'll do that music. Sorry about that, guys. So, getting back on topic. Sorry about that. You go into it, and it's just, there's just so much. There's a sword you can farm for Pooh that takes forever if you want. There's crazy enemies like fire hydrants that make you rage. There's stop signs that you're fighting. There's moles. There's insane like old ladies that attack you with their purses. It's just, the game is insanity, but it's so well done. Music's pretty good, but it's not a soundtrack I listen to out of the game. It fits the game, but it doesn't fit out of the game, if that makes sense. Just all kinds of things. I remember getting scratch and sniff cards for it. It's an expensive game nowadays, but if you got the SNES Mini or you just emulate it, it's definitely worth a play. Please sit down, play Earthbound if you never played it. You will enjoy it. It will make you rage. It will make you happy. It will make you smile. It will make you sad. Make you scared at sometimes. Like, there are some parts that are very disturbing about the game that we won't get into. But check out Earthbound. Please do yourself a favor. You gotta know what it's like to pick a hamburger out of a trash can, just eat it, please. For my request, do it. Moving on from that, I can actually show you this one. Well, there's Chrono Cross, by the way, if I didn't show it. Chrono Cross. Sorry, I have the game. I have the greatest hits version. I got it for $1 a long time ago, so it still has like the original yellow tag down there. Coming in next is a game that revolutionized a genre, Tales of Symphonia. Now, story about this game, I remember going to a Blockbuster back in the day, seeing this on the shelf, and I really wanted it. I begged my mom, and she said, you could have it. She said, go ahead. She said, I'll buy it for you. So happy I got this game. And Tales was a series that was around for a while. They had some Tales. They had Tales of Fantasia on the Super Nintendo. Then they had Tales of Destiny 1 and 2 on the PS1. And then Symphonia came out, and it reborn the genre. Not only, it just has everything going for it. Like, we're gonna start with the soundtrack. Soundtrack's great. I listen to it often. There's some remakes from the older games, like some soundtracks from the older games remade. Story is fantastic. You could spend 80 hours in this game. You could spend 20. I beat it in 22. I did a 24-hour live stream where I beat this in 22, and just everything's right. Like, you got a great main character, arrogant, not the smartest in the books, but street smarts. He knows what he's doing, and he gives you that feel. He just gives you those feels like he's a true leader. And then he just gets these bonds with all these other characters. There's 8 other party members, so you have 9. You can use 4 at a time. And the storytelling is just so good. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's just a well done story that makes you want to come back and replay it over and over and over. I've beaten this game probably 15 times, and I never get tired of it. Like, someone could tell me, hey, do you want to play that tomorrow? I'll pay you $100. I'll say, sure, let's go for it. Because it just had a good battle system. It upgraded it. You have your chain combo moves. You have summon spirits. You have spells, and nothing like hearing Gina say "pancake time." Never gets old. You got your side quests. I mean, it's a 2-disc game. I can show the inside too. I still have a little card telling me some of the cheats here. Like, they're not cheats, but it's so I don't get lost in certain puzzles and I don't have to mess around. So I still got those in there. Book still smells good, and oh, there's animated cutscenes. Voice acting is phenomenal. Like, for a GameCube game, the voice acting is better than most things I've heard today. But this is a game you go through and you get New Game Pluses, so you can unlock stuff like bonus XP, extra health, start with all your moves. So it's a game that just keeps you coming back, you know? Like, I always find something new. Like, I swear to God, I beat this game 14 times, and I did not know you could ride the dog. I never knew that until my last, like, few times playing it, and I was like, holy shit, I can ride the dog. Well, that's Tales of Symphonia, and what better up to follow up with number 6 on our list, Tales of the Abyss, right here. PS2 came out. There was Tales of Legendia, then Abyss came out, and it's strange. For the longest time, I would have put Symphonia ahead of this, but then you play Abyss a few times, and I've beaten it a lot less, probably like 4 or 5 times. I've also streamed this one live. The character, you will hate him at the start. You will hate Luke so much, and then he makes just a stellar. His character development is amazing between him and Tyr, and then Guy and Jade. You just have phenomenal cast, and the interactions and the bonding. You like root for these bonds, and they just happen exactly how you want them to happen. It's like the story of real friendship, what you would go through and what they would overcome. And just a character completely changing for the better. Like, he goes from being this whiny, bratty kid to being this downer to being this strong character that knows that he has to step up and save the world. And not only does it have what the last Tales game has, it adds a... Like, the issue with Tales of Symphonia is it's straight 2D kind of still. Like, you can only attack straight on. In Tales of the Abyss, it gives you 360 camera movements, so you can move around the battlefield and dodge a little bit better and position better. You have EX arts, which are pretty cool. You have a phenomenal story and character development. Again, the voice acting is great. The towns are beautiful. Like, there are places you want to visit. They just built so well. And it has a lot of sad moments. Like, there are a lot of dark moments. So this I think just took it to another level. I think this one took me about 35 hours. You could probably easily spend, I guess, 80, 100 hours if you do all the side stuff. And this game has some feels in it. Like, there's some things that happen that you're just like, damn, dude. You get really upset. Soundtracks are great again. You'll want to listen to it outside of the game. And just, again, you have Luke, who's evolving. You have Tyr, who's like the apprentice, and you root for Luke and Tyr. You just do. And then you got Annis. She's annoying. She's like the only character I hate, but she's just part of the family now. Like, she's the annoying little sister. And then you got I'll actually show some. You got Guy right here with the yellow, loyal best friend. Even when he feels betrayed, he's there for Luke, and it's touching to see. And then you got Jade, the mentor, and when he starts like complimenting Luke and showing his friendship, you really grow to like this character. And then Natalia, she comes off as a bratty princess, but you quickly learn she's noble. She's there to help her people. And there's just one scene, I'm going to talk about it, where like she turns out not to technically be the heir, but the guards go to like grab her and arrest her, and people just start sacrificing themselves and throwing themselves in front of guards to protect her because she is their princess no matter what. She's always doing stuff for the poor, so the people like return the favor, and it's just great. I don't know. This game always holds the feels. always holds the field, and it is a multiplayer, just like any other Tales game. You can play it with friends, which is nice, and definitely check this out, guys. I would say this is Symphonia. Check them out. You'll enjoy it. You'll have a good time. Now, I don't have the disc for this next game on my list. I'm going to be buying another copy because I think I lent it to someone. I just don't know where it's at. And there are 5 in this franchises, maybe 6 now. I forget. Breath of Fire, but we're going to talk about Breath of Fire 4. Now, 4 was a game I got for $1 back in the day. When EB Games was closing, it was a $1 bin. Picked it up, and I've never been a big fan of Breath of Fire. Like, I know everyone, like, 1 was, I watched my brother play 1, and I loved watching him play 2, but I never played it myself. I never got a chance to play 3 much. I got to watch it again. My brother played those 3, so I got to watch him play them. 4 was the first one I got to play, and the game just had so much going on for it. It had a soundtrack that fit the game well, so you always felt in the right mood. Story was cool. You're kind of playing between, like, what I liked about it is you're playing as the main character and the heroes, and you're also playing as like technically the bad guy, and you'll switch between them until they finally meet up and have their little duel. And it's touching because you still get your characters like Ryu, you get Nina, which Nina's in like every Breath of Fire game. You get Cray, which he has a character similar to him in Breath of Fire 3, which everyone likes better. And it's just a great cast of characters. Again, you get Urshwin, which is a female instead of a robot. You get Kaius, really cool sword master. He's a dog, because Breath of Fire is known for having animals as their characters. Like in the first one, they have a wolf, they have an ox, they have a fish. It's just their thing. And then you get like Ursula, which is like a fox character with a gun. And that game, when I play it, not only is it difficult, but it's just fun. Like, the grinding is fun, and the battle system is done so right. Like, not only can you change into a dragon as Ryu, but like, you start with 3. I'll try and explain this the best I can. You start with 3 characters, and you have your other 3 in the back. And your other 3, you can sometimes do random assists. I forget how it works, but they can do assists, like party assists. But let's say you don't like Nina, like, always up in your front party, because she's weak physically, and all she has is spells, and she's your healer too, right? You could start with someone else in front, do your work, and let's say somebody starts getting low. Mid-combat, you could swap that character out to the back row and bring your Nina up and heal your party. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal combat. Like, whoever designed it thought, like, hey, people want to use their whole party. That's what makes a game really good to me and stand out. If you could use your whole party, and this game allows you it with balance. Like, you only have 3 in the front, but if you need it, you have your other 3 back here. If someone's dying, you can switch them out and have some fun. Game has just a good story. You're playing Ryu. General synopsis. You're playing Ryu. He has no memory. He's like you hear dragons roar at the beginning of the game, and there's just a crater. And Nina finds him butt naked, and she's trying to help him find out who he is. So she kind of sticks with him. She has her own reasons for being in town. Her sand flyer crashed, so she went to town. And her and Ryu establish a bond, and they eventually group up. And you're pretty much playing 2 stories. One, you're helping Nina try to find her sister. That's what she's trying to do from the start. So you're kind of playing as a main character from her standpoint, but you're also trying to find out what Ryu's purpose is. So he'll eventually meet all these characters through different circumstances. And eventually you switch to Fulu. He's an emperor that has woken up. And him and Ryu are 2 parts to a puzzle. They're supposed to be one person. They are one dragon. But they were split for whatever reason. I don't want to give away too much. And as I said, you'll play at points of Fulu, and you'll play at points of Ryu, and Fulu, and Ryu. And there are times where you feel bad for Fulu, you feel bad for Ryu, and you feel good for Fulu, and you feel good for... And it just makes you like both characters. And then you're given the daunting task at the end, guys. There's 2 endings. They give you this option. I'm going to tell you it because it's great. You can either join him and slaughter your party pretty easily. Like, you'll murder your party. Like, that's option 1, is you give in. Or option 2, you stick it out and you be the good guy and say, I'm sticking with my friends, and you have to fight Fulu, and it's a difficult fight. But I'd say check out the Breath of Fire games, especially 4. 3 gets a lot of good rep too, as long as 2. 1 doesn't get a lot of good rep, but it's not a bad game. It's just the first, and it's the oldest one. But I'd say they're all worthy, and I'll probably be playing them on my channel at some point. But I'd say 4 is good. Check it out, guys. It's fun. definitely enjoyed it. Number 4. Now, a new one just came out not too long ago, Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, but we're going to talk about 1, right? Because 1, I think, is what saved them and got too popular, and we're going to talk about 1. So, when I got 1, it was Divinity Original Sin Classic. Now, keep in mind, between Classic and Enhanced, I have 500 to 600 hours on this game. It's a single-player game. I've played through it multiple times. It just does everything you'd want to do. It has in-depth story, really good dialogue. If you're a reader and you like reading, you can go through this dialogue, or you can skip it if you just want to play, get a general idea and skip it. But it has really good dialogue. Your decisions make an impact. They give you like slight bonus stats depending on how you pick, and it's just a well-done game. It's a game based on making broken characters because you're gods and just going with it. Now, I played through the game a lot, and my biggest accomplishment on it, I do want to stream it at some point, is playing Lone Wolf Hardcore. So what that means is you can normally have 4 characters. I make it so I can only have 2, and I play on Hardcore, which means every time someone dies, it will automatically save your game so you can't reload, and it'll only reload at that point of when that character died. So how it works is if both characters go down, your game's over. And I've had times where I wiped going through, but I've beaten it a couple times. And it's just one of those things I'm always proud of. It's a hard game, especially Lone Wolf, especially early. We don't have a lot of spells. But later in the game, you start to get to the point where you could like super crowd control everything with one guy, and then have like one guy just be your hard hitting two-handed. That's how I normally went. I've heard Divinity 2 fix that, which good on them because it was broken, being able to CC the whole screen. But Divinity Original Sin just holds a place in my heart. I played it multiplayer with some close friends of mine, and then I've just gone through and played it by myself, and I mean, I don't know. I just enjoyed the game. It's a great game. I mean, to have 600 hours on technically a single player RPG, that speaks mountains. I mean, I have 1,000 hours on like Dead by Daylight. I've been playing that for like years since beta. I mean, that speaks to how much time I put in Divinity. But we'll leave it at that. I mean, there's just so much about it that's enjoyable. But we'll just leave it at that. It's a great, just all-around RPG. Story, combat, buying and selling, equipment upgrades, everything's there. Rain, spells like Rain being so relevant. You would never think, if someone would have told me, hey, do you want to spell Rain? You wouldn't think that's relevant, but then you play Divinity, you're like, damn, Rain is like the best spelling game. You're using it all the time. Well, yeah, we'll leave that at that. Check it out. It's definitely good. If you guys only played 2 because you heard of 2, go back and play the first one. I think you'll enjoy it. Number 3 on my list. Because I know this is getting long, guys. I know this list is long, but I figured I'd go through it, give you guys something on YouTube, so I don't get to give much YouTube content. Number 3, Secret of Mana, and I just finished replaying this again on stream for the second time on Twitch just like a couple days ago. And I replayed it because the remake's coming out. We're not going to say anything about the remake. I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to be optimistic, although I think I'm going to get bit. We'll be optimistic. Now, Secret of Mana is a game I've beaten numerous times. I have a lot of good memories with it. Once a summer, me and my friend used to sit down and do an all-nighter, beat it in 13, 14 hours, be happy, be content. And it's just, I don't even know how to explain like my feelings for the game. Soundtrack is phenomenal. I always love it. It's perfect for the game. If you guys never played it, it's like an early action RPG. You have 3 characters. When you swing your weapon, you get like a little cooldown. You can keep swinging, but you'll do like very little damage. So the idea is you swing and then you let your meter get back up to 100 and you swing again, you'll do full damage. There's a variety of weapons. There's swords, spears, axes, whips, boomerangs, kung fu, javelin. I know I'm missing one. I'm definitely missing some of them, but there's like 8 or so weapons. There's different items, different kinds of special attacks. So you can charge your attack, and there's up to 8 levels to each weapon, and do like super attacks, which are really cool. Your 2 side characters get different kinds of magic. One's more defensive, one's more offensive. Now, the game is just fun overall. It has a well done story. You're following the main character, which doesn't really have a. I think he has a name. I think it's Randy. I think that's what it's supposed to be, but I don't call him Randy. It just didn't sound right. And you're following him. He pulls out a sword, which later you learn some important details about it. And he's told that he has to restore the sword, that the Empire is trying to pretty much take all the mana in the world. That's what they're trying to do. and you fight different foes. You fight the Empire, you fight a guy named Thanatos, you're fighting Mana Beast, and you're pretty much trying to get this sword to a full power so you can combat the Empire and eventually something known as the Mana Beast. And the story's well done. There's moments of sadness, moments of strife, moments of epicness, and I mean Santa Claus. You fight Santa Claus. I mean, what more can I say? Rudolph begs you to fight Santa Claus to save him. I mean, come on. I mean, you're upgrading weapons, you're getting equipment, there's doom traps, like in chests. You're getting like random chests that sometimes have traps or they have goodies in them. There's random RNG to get like super good items. There's lots of good dungeons, lots of good bosses. There's a pretty good difficulty, especially if you never played the game. There's leveling magic based on how much you use it. It's just a well done game. And it's multiplayer, as I said. I used to play it multiplayer with my friends. Now, we'll briefly talk about it. I know I said it wasn't, but the remake's coming out. I know some people are already giving it a lot of doubt and bashing it. I'm going to give it a shot. I pre-ordered it. We'll be streaming it the day it comes out. Whole judgment is all I say. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do, because here's my thing. If this remake goes well and it proves everybody wrong, this opens up remakes for Chrono Trigger and all these kind of games like Earthbound. You might see them. So be prepared to be surprised. That's all I'm saying. If it's a letdown, it's a letdown. I'm not gonna let it bug me. There's still the original. The original is well done, and we always have it to fall back on. It's on the SNES Mini too, so I would say check it out, guys. Definitely play it. It's not a long game. It's like 15-16 hours tops, but you'll have fun. Coming in at number 2, guys. We're at number 2. Just show you Legend of Dragoon. I played on stream. I'll be playing it again on Twitch at some point. I had a request from a close, I guess, real life friend, and I told him I'd play this for him. And this game, guys, I didn't play until PS3 was out. Like, this was late PS3. I got a hold of it, and I actually decided to sit down and play it. So I didn't have a nostalgia value when I played this, but the story is great. You're following Dart, and he's on his own mission for revenge against something known as the Black Monster, which I don't want to give much away, but it's pretty much a revenge for destroying his village. And while he's doing that, he eventually, at the start of the game, he comes home from searching for the Black Monster with no luck, and you find out that, like, his childhood friend, pretty much, he calls her baby sister, but they become much more than that later. And he finds out she's been kidnapped, and then he gets pulled in this whole thing of the Empire trying to attack his village and stirring up things with dragons. And then he finally finds out he's a chosen dragoon, and he starts gathering bonds with these party members. And I will say I've beaten it twice, and both times are a blast. It's a multi-disc game. There's cutscenes. When the voice acting's on, it's horrible. When they say their attacks, it's funny, like hearing like Labbit say harpoon is just amazing. Like, they say their attacks, but it's got a unique battle system. Like, you have 3 party members. If you defend, you get like 10% of your health back, which I always thought was cool. Like, if you had nothing else to do. How the battle system works is you will equip something known as an addition, that's your skill, and it will tell you like this is a 3-hit combo, 5-hit combo, or so on. And when you do it, there's a little box in the center of the screen, and some light will go into it really quick, and you want to time it to where the light takes the whole box. If you do, the combo will continue to out as many hits. You'll keep hitting these combos with this light, I guess. Best way to describe it. It's like a timing thing. And then if you hit it, you'll get the full combo, get the full damage. If you miss it, you're looking at something else. I mean, you're looking at just bad damage. Now, occasionally, the boxes will turn orange, and you'll have to hit a different button than the normal combo button. And if you miss it, you'll get counterattacked. If you hit it, you're fine. So you'll go through, you'll get these additions. Every 20 completions of an addition will make it stronger. So if you complete it 20 times successfully, like the full combo, it'll be stronger the next time you use it. And you'll unlock other additions. And then eventually you'll unlock Dragoon powers. You'll be able to turn into a Dragoon for so many rounds. And I know some people think like, hey, you're probably just a Dragoon the whole fight. You're not. You can't. Like, there are certain fights, if you turn into a Dragoon, your whole party will die. Just put it that way. Like, it's very strategical, knowing when to do it, when to not. because you can't use items when you're in Dragoon form. There's a good cast of characters, definitely all interesting. Eventually I hope to try them all someday. I usually use like Dart, Rose, Hashel, but I've delved into using like Alavitz for a little bit. I've used a little bit of Kongol, stuff like that. But Hashel's just a beast. But other than that, music's pretty good. Story, as I said, is phenomenal. Like, I really enjoy the story in this game. That's what draws it to my number 2, is between the uniqueness of the battle, the story, just the equipment. Like, I thought the equipment was always cool. Like, it's very unique, like increasing like agility and stuff like that. I always thought it was cool. I don't know, it just holds a good place. And then there's like side stuff. There's like Stardust you can collect. There's fighting Faust, which everyone who's played this game knows how hard he can be. And I destroyed him when I played, so it was fun. But I will be replaying this game, guys. Definitely check it out. Don't have a lot to say about it. There's some games that I will not have a lot to say about. There are games on my like top like 15, like my lower 15, like lower half of the list I talked about more. But this game doesn't need much. Good game. Now my number 1. There's 2 of them. I'll show them. Most people know this already. Baten Kairos on the GameCube, and there's Baten Kairos Origins. Now, Origins we're not talking about. It's a great game. We're not going to talk about this one. Now, this game, guys, I almost never played it, and I'll tell you why. I was 14, I think. I was in a Blockbuster. I saw it on the shelf, and you see this picture, right? Never heard of it, because there wasn't much internet back then, right? Like, you didn't search up on the internet. You see it on the shelf, and you're like, oh, that looks cool. And then you turn it around, and you see this piece of shit picture. Excuse me. Right there. Ice Cream Village. And I'm like, what the fuck? That was my exact words. I'm like, that looks so stupid. I put it back on the shelf. Walked around for a little bit. Looked at a few other games. So my mom told me I could buy one game for my GameCube. Looked around. They didn't have Skies of Arcadia, which I still haven't played, but we'll get around to that another day. I know people are going to scold me for that. Look around. Don't have Skies of Arcadia, because I asked them, because I knew about the game. I already had Tales of Symphonia. I come back, and I'm like, I guess I'll try it. I'm like, maybe I could return it. I was like, yeah, you can just return it if you don't like it. So I pick it up, bring it home, just freaking hooked. Game was difficult, too. Like, I was hooked. Like, they had a unique card system. The battle system's a card-based system, but your characters actually do the attacks. There's some strategy to it, knowing what elements and what order to play cards in. The characters are phenomenal. You got Cal. I'm gonna go through each of them because this is my number 1. You got Kaius. He's your arrogant hero that has a twist to him later on. I won't spoil much, but he's led by a guardian spirit, which is played by you. Like, he'll ask you for advice, and I always thought that was cool, like to implement you as a guardian spirit to help him. And he's your flashy hero, arrogant but strong, passionate. He's seeking revenge for his murdered family. That's about as much I'll tell you about him. You got Shella. She becomes a very likable character, especially later. She's your spellcaster, but you're pretty much on a journey with her, trying to help her battle the Empire, who are trying to resurrect an evil god. That's the best way to put it. You eventually meet Gabari, likable character, often compared to Waka, which I see why. You get Savina, which is cool. She's a quiet mercenary type. You get Liud, which is annoying, but he's an Imperial soldier that's helping you. And then you get Mizuti, which is just badass. I won't even go into Mizuti. We all know he's cool. Or she. And this game just has a good 30-hour story to it. Like, I always felt epic going through it. I've beaten the game multiple times. Soundtrack's phenomenal. Really well done. Second game too. I mean, the second game's great, guys. It's not my top 20, but there's so many games that you can put in your top 20. And I'm trying, like, in certain games, if there's 2, I'm trying to pick like one of the better ones in the genre. Like, the second one definitely had a better combat system, but this game just had music, soundtrack, feels. You loved every character. Towards the end, you felt for every character. Great side quests, and just a great epic story between Kaius and the last guy, which I will leave for you to decide. And when the game always ends and you're that guardian spirit saying goodbye to the characters, it just hits you in the feels. And I always get quiet for 20 minutes after playing it, Like, after I finished streaming it, I went quiet for 20 minutes because it just has that effect on you. And I definitely say check it out. If we talk a little bit about the prequel, guys, this takes place 20 years before this. But honestly, play this before you ever play this. Do not play this first, because this will spoil some stuff about this, I'm telling you. Even though it's a prequel, it will. But definitely play the set. They're good. They're on the GameCube. And that's my top 20 list, guys. I know, like, Chrono Trigger didn't make it. Maybe Breath of Fire 3 didn't make it. Some people love those games. But, not saying I don't like those games. I like Chrono Trigger. It just doesn't have that nostalgia. But I'll let you guys harass me for that in the comments if you want. But that's my top 20 list, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will try to do an occasional random YouTube video from here and there. I know I had a big YouTube audience that was loyal, that stuck around. Some of you guys are still subbed. I know I haven't been streaming, but I'm on Twitch now. My Twitch description is in the description. I promise we don't bite over there. It's a very chill chat. We still do all kinds of things. We're doing retro days. We're doing Dead by Daylight still. We're going to be doing Dragon Ball FighterZ when it comes out. We're doing the Secret of Mana remake. We're going to be playing Tower of Time. Like, we have a whole bunch of stuff. And that's about it, guys. That's my list. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gets you to try some of these games. And you guys have a great rest of your night, because it is 3 a.m. here and I need to get some sleep. So you guys take care.